Hey everybody! Guess what time it is? Christmahanakwanzidaanyule! Spectacular time! Hooray! I'm your host, Dr. Chatter. Time to cue the fucking music! Hey guys, welcome back. As you know, like I said, I'm Dr. Chatter. I got my gun, and I got my whiskey. Fuck! Who drank my whiskey? God damn it! Fuck Gary, I said never drink my whiskey! Not the whiskey! You know what you did! Get in the bear shark tank! Now! Well, he didn't drink all my whiskey. I had a special bottle on reserve. Tullamore Dew 55, aka Phoenix. Wait for it. Yeah! Phoenix! What? Oh yeah, show! Show. Yeah, so Holiwhatzit day, because the name's too long, I'm getting drunk now. Whatever. Holiwhatzit day, happy Holiwhatzit day. What are we going to talk about today? Well, hey, 6 months ago, I did some videos talking about Faithfest, because Faithfest went on in my town, and I never got back to it. And like, nobody knew because no one subscribes. But anywho, I'm back and we're gonna talk about the results. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. You may not remember what happened 6 months ago. It was 6 months ago. So what happened? What were the questions I asked at Faithfest? And here's a quick refresher. These are them. So, many of you believe that I probably didn't make these myself. And you'd be right, because I didn't. They're all here, all 21 of them, and they all say a lot of weird things. Things that I have a problem with them saying, things that they kept saying, things they reiterated, things they didn't quite understand but said anyway, things they even quoted, like the Bible. Hooray! But why do I bring this up? Because I'm not a liar. I have integrity, and I actually wanted to see what they do. Now, the fact that I didn't get put into the paper because I didn't say my name and give them good contact information other than my email address, sure, maybe that's why they didn't put my article in the newspaper. But, then again, it was also fairly long. Maybe that's why they didn't put it in. Multiple things, they probably didn't put it in. But I remember one of those papers put out a big full-page ad about how they support Trump and people in my town supported Trump and they love Trump, and I think in fact my county was in fact a red county and I live in a blue state that voted for Hillary. Now I know this seems a little weird that I bring this up, but a lot of biblical things have been brought up lately. Not only on YouTube, not only in the public and government sectors, but they keep being brought up. And we have to address them, which is why videos like this that I do are so important. Because it's a fucked up philosophy. And it gets you to vote in stupid fucking people that you think, oh, they're gonna do everything they said when they gave their speeches, and they do none of it. And logic, this is for you. You think Trump is LGBTQ friendly? Why the hell did he elect Mike Pence to be his vice president? If he was that friendly to him, he wouldn't allow that. So when you come to logic, you look at Trump and you're like, that's a good choice. No, it's not. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my only comment on the subject. Because you don't ask a plumber to do your heart bypass. If the only doctor available is one with a malpractice suit, you go with the one with the malpractice suit. Because they're a fucking doctor, you idiot. Now, on with the show. What were the answers? Let's find out. Here's the graphs. Okay, now we're on to age. What were their ages? Well, 5% were an other, usually because they just didn't really say, and so I couldn't make a judgment based off of handwriting. I'm not gonna sex handwriting. But 5% were also in their 20s. 10% were in their 30s. 28% were in their 40s. 24% were in their 50s. And 28% were in their 60s. Now, you can kind of see that most of them were between the age of 40 and 60. Now, I don't know how young you are or how old you are, but let me just point something out. Older generations actually tend to be, in this country, more conservative, and they also tend to be more Christian. They start believing it later on. That's one of the games the religious people play, is we gotta get these people, if we can't hook them young, we'll get them a little while later. And convince them through their own misdeeds and their own life experiences of why things are the way they are because of their faith, because of what it says in the Bible, thus tricking the brain into thinking that the Bible is true. It's not. It's a scam. And people, seriously, you gotta wake up. You gotta start looking at real history. You gotta start being really skeptical. Because this age range comes into play a little bit later, and it starts getting a little scary then. Okay, when I ask for biblical date, I mean, what does the Bible say the day is? Now, theologians have thought this for a long time. When did time really start? Well, 86 wrote down the Gregorian calendar date, which I shouldn't tell you, this is a Roman construction, the Gregorian calendar, and 86 of them wrote that. Now, 14% abstained because they realized it's a trick question. They don't know because the Bible doesn't give dates. So, ironically, they're a little bit ahead of even the Jews. Because the Jews say it's, let's see, what day was it? The 8th of Elul, 5776. And that was supposed to correspond to the date of 9/11/2016. If you want to look up that on the internet, go right ahead, you'll find out I'm fucking right. The real date for when I was giving this, according to Jewish theologians, was the 8th of Elul, 5776. That's right, we're not quite 6,000 years old, according to Jewish scholars. Let me guess. They're not that bright. Probably why they're Jewish. But then again, 86% of Christians also think a completely fictional date. I'm sorry, the year is closer to about 13 billion. This Earth has been around for what, 4 some billion? I mean, come on. Your dates are wrong. Just horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. They're more arbitrary than anything an astrophysicist could ever come up with. It's so hilariously wrong. But you guys believe the Gregorian calendar, and most of you that I talked to didn't even know what the fucking Gregorian calendar was. So what the hell, people? Learn your damn history. Wow, from what I understand, faith and denomination, 52% were Protestant and 48% unknown. And I don't mean like, I don't know who they were, they abstained, because no one abstained. I don't know if these denominations are Protestant or Catholic. And frankly, I didn't take the time to look it up, so that's on them. Ha! Just kidding, that's on me. Now, of course, if you've been paying attention, you kind of know the area and maybe even the town I live in. I'm kind of putting it out there without really putting it out there. You got to do your research. But I did ask everybody that went to Faithfest if they were from my town or where they were from. And this is the demographic breakdown. 48%, nearly 50%, were a townie. They were from my town, or at least they labeled that way. And 28% were from another town in my state of Minnesota. 14% were from Wisconsin, which, as we know from recent news, they voted Trump, and they also have a large amount of lead in their water. That's poisoning them. Lead does make you go crazy. Maybe that's why Trump won that state. But that's just a hypothesis. I'm not going to use the word wrong. It's a hypothesis. Now, 5% came from Illinois, and 5% abstained. They probably thought I was with NSA or someone trying to track them, but with a survey on their faith? Seriously? If I was part of a global network, I think I'd know about it. And I'm definitely more honest about it than I would hope to be on the internet, but I'm not part of a global network. In fact, I think that calls for another fucking guzzle session. Seriously, if you think of that about me, you don't know shit about the Phoenix. Caw! But here's where it gets a little funnier, because I did a little side comparison of what people said, and turns out that 88% of them were American-ish. I mean, they listed themselves as American, they didn't say, but one person did. So that makes like, what, 12% or something like that were Canadian. Interesting. Canadians came all the way here, or at least moved here and then came here. But interesting that we had a Canadian there. What does the Bible say about foreigners again from other lands? Oh yeah, it says they're not cool people. Seems odd that he would identify himself as a foreigner then. But I don't want to judge. I'm just here to say what I found. So what Bibles did they use? Well, 25% said they used the KJV or the New King James, the NKJ. Woohoo, get a little slang on you there. Yeah, KJV, of course, is the King James Version. One of the most popular versions. You may remember King James. He wrote a book on hunting witches because he believed they existed. And he believed that the devil was, helping them to put his family at risk and other people he knew and sink ships. And he was batshit insane at that point. Even though he was a rationalist and a skeptic, he stopped doing that and believed in witchcraft. He wrote a book on how to hunt witches, which later led to a lot of persecutions and a lot of deaths of innocent people who usually just tended to be someone that the town didn't like. And they accused them of witchcraft and then hung them or drowned them or something else, usually after a lot of torture. There was a famous person, I believe he walked around, I can't remember his name right offhand, I'll put it in here just so you know, but he came from nothing and basically was a witch killer until they realized that he was just doing it for the money, and kind of hunted him down and didn't let him do that anymore. Yeah, he was kind of a dishonest person. And ironically, the King James idea of hunting witches, which led to this guy doing witch hunts, also inevitably led to our witch hunts in Salem, Massachusetts. Thank you very much, you stupid motherfucking Christians. You believe witches exist, you use these guys' books and ideas to hunt innocent people down and kill them because they weren't people you liked in your town. Thanks. You're fucking dicks. And I'm glad you're rotting in the ground. And I remember, was it Nathaniel Hawthorne's like great-grandfather or grandfather, great-great-grandfather, something like that, was actually the judge presiding over these trials. And I believe it was Sarah Jessica Parker, her like great-great-great-great grandmother or something like that, one of her ancestors, was one of the last people that was going to be tried that they know of. And the witch hunts ended before she went to trial, so that's how she survived. Ironic, since Sarah Jessica Parker also was a star of Hocus Pocus. But yeah, fuck you, Judge Hawthorne. But back to the chart, of course, because 37% used the New International Version, the NIV. And 17% used the NLT, which I don't remember what that was, but I know it's also another one of the weird ones, because it's the Bible. 17% had other choices, which I kind of lumped all together because there was a few different ones and I'm not sure where they came from or what they are, because a lot of people like the KJV and the NIV, and that's just a fact. And of course, another person abstained. I give them 4% because, well, some people answered multiple times. That's what's skewing some of these numbers, so when you see 4% instead of 5%, or 14% instead of 15%. This is what's skewing the numbers. People answered multiple things. I'm trying to do the best I can, but god damn it, they're not making it easy. Here's the funny thing. I asked them if they read their Bible. 71% said yes. They've read their Bible. And not just read their Bible, but in its entirety was the question. Have you read the Bible in its entirety? 71% said yes. 10% said no. 14% were honest and said they read only parts of it. And 5% abstained, probably making them the most honest of them all. But do you see what I'm getting at when I at least release this pie chart? 71% said yes. Think about the other questions. Think about the rates that they scored. We'll come back to this. You guys knew I was asking this question about religious freedom. You've probably asked it yourself. What did they think? Well, 42% said any religion's fine as long as you're free to practice it. Well, that's not really true, and it's kind of a wishy-washy, almost hippie way of saying, yeah man, live and let live. Well, actually, while I agree with your enthusiasm that religious freedom does mean any, and you are technically right, there are certain things in religion that we don't allow, like child sacrifice, and a number of other things that have been so taboo that we have made laws against them. Such as incest. Used to be very popular for theological societies like Egypt to marry siblings. King Tut was married to his sister. And there were many others like that throughout the world. And religion was the reason why. They thought these people were divine, and you couldn't dilute the blood of a god, so you had to marry them within the family. And frankly, people, science has proven that's a bad thing. Now, of course, since it was Faithfest, religious freedom to some people meant, well, 38% religious freedom means Christian-only religion. Great, but that's not literally what the Constitution says. Or Bill of Rights. Forget which one it is. Kind of drunk, so forgive me, I drank like almost a whole bottle of whiskey. Fuck off! Stop pressuring me! Now, some people, of course, said both. And that kind of confuses me, because I'm not exactly certain what that means. It's just a weird thing to write down when I say, what does religious freedom mean to you? And it says both. That's odd. I mean, what the fuck, people? The short answer doesn't mean one word. Come on, give me something. And 10% abstained. Because I guess they didn't want to get into an argument. Good play. And on a side note, I noticed some similarities that were happening inside of the religious freedom answers. And I like to make pie charts, so I made one about this. And 28% said religious freedom means no persecution. But granted, you guys aren't really doing that good when it comes to no persecution and saying Muslims are all terrorists and stuff like that. I mean, you guys really gotta fucking get your story straight. 10% said everything. Everything is so similar because it's religion, and yes, it is. It remarkably is. It's bullshit. It's not real. It's a mind game. It's rhetoric. It's not definable by facts. Well, 42% said serving and worshiping. Religious freedom is about serving and worshiping. So you're in a cult and that's all you have to do? Is you just worship all day and serve like a slave? Did you think about your answer? I mean, the other people are like, oh, it's everything. Religious freedom is everything. I mean, they completely didn't think. Except for the few that said, hey, religious freedom is everything. Everything's religious freedom, blah, blah, blah. But they weren't thinking either. None of you guys are thinking about this. I mean, no persecution, yeah, that works. But serving and worshiping, doesn't that sound like subjugation and not freedom? Think about it. Now, 10% had other answers. A lot of different answers. But as we could see, most of them were in the no persecution or serving and worshiping. Well, 10% said everything, 10% said other, and the last bit abstained. They didn't bother to answer the question. Did they know? Who knows? Did they want to answer? Who knows? I talked to one lady, she filled out a couple of answers, and most of the time I just talked to her. She was a nice lady and everything like that. But she really kind of only wanted the free water and wanted to say thank you, and her husband kind of put her up to filling out the form. I'm like, you don't have to fill out all the questions. You don't even have to fill out any questions. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And she handed it back. It's like, I guess I'm done. I'm like, all right, thanks for your enthusiasm. And like I said, the thing at the end of the bottom of the survey said, have an awesome day. It's my little pun. Then I ask, of course, is the Bible supposed to be taken literally or metaphorically? Remember what we've already seen so far, because 71% said it's supposed to be taken literally. 71% said literally, and only literally. In fact, one of the ladies circled it like 50 billion times. Not fucking kidding you. 24% said, oh, it's both. It's literal and metaphorical. Yeah, now, when we prove some of it false, you've then turned around with your apologists and your preachers and your pastors and your vicars and everybody else and said, oh, but yeah, this passage we used to think was literal, but it's actually metaphorical. Yeah, you mean like the ones that say you should fucking kill someone who is not a part of your faith in front of your Savior? Like what happened when Bishop Cyril sent people out in Alexandria, Egypt, and they just laid waste to a whole bunch of people, and then flayed a woman alive in front of the altar in their church before taking the parts out that were left of her remains and burning them outside the church. That's what literal means. They were being literal. Are you really gonna say that's literal or metaphorical? Because I would say that's fucking shit. And of course, 5% abstained from answering that question, either because they didn't want to incriminate themselves or because they didn't understand the question. And yes, I actually got asked that. What do you mean by literal or metaphorical? And I had to explain what literal and metaphorical meant because the guy did not understand what literal and metaphorical means. That's the kind of people that are there, from what I kind of understand, from what I've been exposed to. When you find people like that, they are often some of the most fundamental people you meet because they don't understand what a metaphor is. For those of you that don't understand what a metaphor is, go pick up The Hero with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, and you can look at some of his other works and you will find out how much your religion is exactly like other religions and why it's not fucking true. It's just a bunch of pseudo nice stories that we tell each other to make us feel good about dying. The only thing that really matters is this life, and we can be moral without God, which defeats the whole purpose of the Bible and Jesus' resurrection and everything else, which is anathema to what the church is trying to teach. So, start using your brains, people. Literal means exactly what it says. Metaphor means it's up for interpretation. It might not mean that. It might be code for something else. Woo, code. Actually, it's code for bullshit. FYI, look it up. I asked them to define, what does it mean to be a good Christian? So this is kind of vexing me. I don't know. What's a good Christian to you? And 19% said there are no good Christians. Well, I guess I know who's been listening to Jack Chick. Ha ha! He's still dead? Fuck him. 14% abstain. Again, we got some people that aren't answering the questions because they're making the connection of what I'm doing. Yeah, then or they just don't want to answer. I don't know. That one lady was kind of lazy, but she was a nice person. I had a great conversation with her. And 67% had other answers, and there were a lot of answers. Like, oh my god, like seriously? Like, that's what it takes to be a good Christian? That's so fucking easy. Why do you need to have a God or a Christ figure for some of those answers? I mean, seriously, people. You could just be a good person by being a good person. Like, don't fuck anyone over, don't stab them, don't shoot them, don't steal from them. Because people take things like that very personally, and you should have figured that out, like, way before kindergarten. Seriously, you did not need a church to tell you this. All you needed was a sensation going from some part of your body to your brain saying, ow, I'm in pain, that sucks, I don't like that. And been like, I bet other people don't like that too, which granted for some people is a leap of, assumption that they may not be comfortable with. But empathy, people, I mean, share it. Come on, I hate to sound like a hippie, but wake up. And what's the similarity with these good Christians? Well, there were some similarities. Let's not get too carried away. They're all kind of similar thinking. It's a groupthink sort of thing. It's what they've been taught every Sunday and sometimes Saturdays and other days of the week. This is how they think. 14% said good Christians are saved through the blood and the resurrection. Really? Are we doing the Mithras thing again? Because, like, I don't remember someone sacrificing a bull and having the blood drained on someone going into the initiate hall. Like, what the hell? Are we doing blood sacrifices again to a god of fertility and death and resurrection? And, well, you know, it's kind of getting murky. Why do you guys want to see your god suffer? Why does he need to suffer? Seriously, he's all powerful and he's all loving and all good and all this other stuff. Why would he have to do this to himself to forgive you? Wouldn't that mean that he's not all powerful, that he can't forgive you without doing something else? And if he's not all powerful, why do you worship him as a god? There are so many philosophical and just logical contradictions in the idea of the resurrection. What are you guys thinking? See why this interests me? You guys are crazy. I want to understand the crazy. Maybe it'll make me seem a little more rational. Probably not, but we'll try anyway. And of course, 36% said, to be a good Christian, you just need love, man. Great. If all you need is love, then why don't you wear like a John Lennon t-shirt? Oh, I'm sorry, he was a hippie, he was bad. He was preaching the love and stuff like that. Well, too bad. That sucks, because your Christ said kill people because they're his enemy, and that he's going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. And that's the same parable in Matthew and Luke, the story of the Minas and the bags of gold in the other chapter, or the other book, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I'm drunk. Fuck off! And of course, a whole whopping 50% of the people said a lot of different things that I just couldn't categorize under anything other than other. So half of the people aren't on the same page, guys. And whether you're 14% or 30% blood or love or whatever, maybe they're just like, hey man, cardiovascular all the way. Right, bro. Cardiovascular. Love. Blood. Alright. And maybe some of them are more like Crips. I don't know. I'm drunk. Let's go on. Ooh, now we got a good one for you. The 10 Commandments. Did anyone list all the 10 Commandments? I don't see listed all. No one listed all. We had three people, which is 14%, listed some. You can see that in blue. Let's see. We had one person said love. Close. I mean, I guess, you know, love thy neighbor could kind of count. But, not sure if just plain love counts. I think you got a little wrong there. Three more people. Another 14% abstained. Thanks a lot, jerks. Except for the lady. She was nice. I'm just kind of spouting off. I'm rambling. I'm drunk. Give me a break. Now, 24%. Okay, 24% said no. They could not list it. Well, they were honest. And 43% said yes. And didn't. Well, that's pretentious. Way to think highly of yourself. I bet you're wrong. Because the ones you're probably thinking about are called the Commandments in the King James Version, which I know a lot of you follow. And the other one called the 10 Commandments include ones like don't seethe your goat in its mother's milk, or honor the festival weeks of harvest, or something like that. I mean, come on, seriously, reread your Bible. There are 2 sets, especially in the King James Version. So, yeah, it's a PSA from Dr. Chatter. You're welcome. Here's a good one. This one's on the prayer question. And the prayer question, just to remind you, was how does prayer work? And yes, people tried to answer this with a short answer. This is hilarious. Okay, so guys, first off, how are you going to do a short answer that makes sense on this? This is a metaphysical slash philosophical slash theological concept of which you have no real evidence for. And yet you're going to sum it up in a short answer? Good try, everybody. Well, 75% said they know how prayer works. They know. They were shit at explaining it, but they know. And 10% abstained. Again, we got these people abstaining. Either they're really fucking smart, or they don't believe, or they don't know, or something else. I'm not sure, but they're abstaining. And I really want to talk to these people that are abstaining, other than that one other lady, because that lady was awesome, and I already talked to her a lot. So I know what she thinks, and trust me, she does not fall off the boat at all. She's right along with them. She was one of the motorcycle people's, woman, and you could tell it from head to toe, from the bandana that she wore on her head, and the braids, and the beads, and the leather, and she was a hog mama, or queen, or whatever the hell they call them. I'm not sure, I'm not a motorcycle guy, but dude, she was in there, and she at least admitted that she was part of a study group because she had a problem with a lot of the shit in the Bible, and that she struggles with it. If anything, she was the most honest person I met there. And I would totally drink a bottle of whiskey with her. She was a fucking blast. She rocked. She totally rocked. I hope she's doing well. Well, 10%, of course, said yes. I asked for short answer. Yes is a short answer. They took me literally. They were smart asses. I guess I could kind of move on, but god damn it, why did they just say yes? They couldn't have just elaborated a little bit? Oh no, yes is a short answer. Let's do yes. I was hoping they'd be like, short answer? What the fuck? This is how it works. Exactly how it works. And of course, then there were the other smart asses that said, well, prayer works well. That's 5% of the people. Just so you know, 5% means one. One person said it worked good. Or well. Smart ass. What were the similarities in these answers? Well, let's just say that 50% was all about talking. Tell God your problems. Tell Jesus what's going on. Talk to them. Act like they're your friend. They're your best buddy. Blah, blah, blah. Trust me, I've heard it before. It doesn't actually work, people. Look back on what you prayed for. Do it right now. Look back on what you prayed for. I bet you most of the stuff you prayed for didn't fucking happen. Or didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen. And of course, you'll probably explain it away. That's how God works. He gives you what you need, not what you want. But that's just you tricking yourself into believing that He actually answered your prayers. It's a mental game. They're making you do the mental gymnastics so that you answer the question for yourself. So that they don't have to do it for you, because then that puts the blame on them. And of course, you can't blame God, which is bullshit. If God is a just, loving God and He made hell for people that don't love Him back, then He's not just and loving. He's a fucking dick. And of course, 12% said God listens. So just talk and He'll listen. Does He listen to starving kids? No. Does He listen to the homeless? Not really. Does He listen to people that have lost an arm or a leg or some other, I guess we'll say, appendage throughout life, or maybe in wartime, and give them back that? No. Jesus didn't even do that. Sure, He'd heal a leper, but it never said he made the leper whole. He just took away the leprosy. We could do that with pills now, people. It's actually a disease. It's caused by a tiny microbe. Think on that. And of course, there were some that said, yeah, you don't even need to talk. He's psychic. 19% think there's a psychic connection, that just whatever you wish or fancy or can conceive of, God knows, and he'll do it. Great, because he's not really good at reading our minds. Not that good at all. We've asked for world peace and he's given us nothing but constant war. And the people that tend to believe Christianity help push war agendas more often with the Republican Party and think it's a good thing, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't believe that religious freedom extends to Muslims or Hindus or the Church of Satan, which, yes, is a real thing. But they believe religious freedom goes for the KKK, so biased a little. And of course, the last one, which you can obviously see, that's another 19% that said other things. Kind of like abstaining, but more fun. Love those others. Oh, this one was a funny one. Is there anyone that embodies your faith? Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking they're going to say something like Jesus. One person said Jesus. One person said Jesus embodies their faith. Everybody else said something different. Or abstained. 24% abstained. Nearly a quarter of the people abstained from answering who embodies your faith. And one person said Jesus. Are you really Christians? I mean, Christ should be the one that actually does. But no, apparently there was a 24% that said yes. Didn't name a name. Thanks, smartasses. 5% said no, so I guess one person's a cynic. Or a liar, or wrong, or I don't know, something. And 42% named names. And guess what I found? A lot of the ones that named names named their pastor, who I'm not sure if he was the one that questioned me about why I was there, or if he was one of the ones that actually answered one of my surveys. But pretty sure he's fucking wrong, because I didn't see anyone that cut their hair right. And they definitely didn't treat me like a Christian should, or a Samaritan, or any of their other stories. They just kind of tolerated me with a smirk. So I'm going to say no on that pastor, and from some of their other answers, I'm going to say he's teaching them some really fucked up shit. But that's me. Well, some of you might not know where I got this question. The one about American exceptionalism. Yeah, because some people think that America was actually made to be great because of the grace of God. That's why we have American exceptionalism. This whole Christian ideology of American exceptionalism, of manifest destiny, was all rooted in different Protestant movements that swept through America, like the evangelical movement. And they said, this is a blessed land, a blessed nation, blessed by God to be great. So we have to be good Christians, because that's the only way to true God and true salvation. Two people, 10%, said, that question's not applicable to this faith discussion because they're stupid. And they've listened to people explain, oh no, it doesn't have to do with God. No, that's actually what it had to do with. Just like the idea that pagan means villager, that comes from something out in the country and does not have a wall around it. Yes, You have to go with the original thing. The original meaning. The original meaning of the Confederate flag is we're right in our religious beliefs to keep slaves, and blacks are inferior because they're another race, and we're supposed to be dominant because of manifest destiny and American exceptionalism, blah, blah, blah. It is very much rooted in religion. And you guys have to learn that. Because until you learn that, you cannot move past that. And you will be stuck reiterating the same idiotic things over and over and over and over and over again, like you're doing now in your religion. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm ragging on people, especially my friends, but come on, people. This is rhetoric. Rhetoric is not true logic. It's circular. It bends in on itself and has no actual support on the outside. But I digress. There were 57% of people that abstained, including that one lady. Thank you, lady. And I guess, that's kind of good. They didn't know. Probably didn't know why it was on there. Probably didn't even see it on there like that one lady. That's fine. 50% abstained. But now you know. American exceptionalism does have to do with an idea that God made us a blessed thing. And that's why we excel at everything. It's fucking wrong. It's not only racist and nationalistic, but it's religious as well. 19% said they don't know. So that's great. They were honest too. And 14%, 3 people, kind of, they wrote other answers. Interesting. And that's all I'm going to comment on those answers. Very interesting. So let's get back on the date for a second. The Sabbath. What day is it? Do you know? I asked these people. And of course, 50% said Sunday. Really? Because the other 19% knew what day the Jewish Sabbath was, and it's Saturday. The 7th day is Saturday. That is why the first day is known as Sunday, the day the sun was created. And this kind of plays into other religions as well. The sun kind of came first in a lot of religions. And yes, the 7th day, even according to Jewish theologians, would be Saturday. That is why Jewish shops over in Israel close on the Sabbath, and why many other Jews in this country and elsewhere also do not work on Saturday. They work on Sunday, but not on Saturday. In fact, the Romans helped to sway people from Saturday as Christians to Sunday. Because people like, I believe it was Paul, said, hey, you know what? You could still be a good Christian and not do any Jewish things. You can cut your hair, shave your beard, you can even worship on Sunday. As long as you're worshiping on Sunday, it's a-okay. Because the Romans said, if we catch you worshiping on Saturday, we'll fucking kill you. And so everyone switched to Sunday, because that was the day of the sun, and day of Mithras, and day of Caesar, and blah, 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 blah. So they switched to Sunday and didn't get killed. Funny how being killed kind of changes people's beliefs in stuff. Look at it this way. Atheism won't kill you, they'll just convince you with a logical argument. Maybe you should consider switching. We're friendlier. And of course 7% said any day is the Sabbath, just as long as you worship the Sabbath or do something on the Sabbath or consider a day of the Sabbath. Yeah, no, we can't have this arbitrariness because that's not right. It's the 7th day or else. That's kind of the point of the Mosaic laws. That's kind of the point of the 10 Commandments. That's kind of the whole point of what day is the Sabbath. In Numbers 15, I believe they killed a guy for picking up sticks on the Sabbath. No trial, just grabbed him, took him to town, threw him in a cell, and then asked God, hey, what should we do with him? And they're like, well, is he doing work on the Sabbath? Yeah, he was. He was picking up sticks. Well, fuck him then. Take him outside of camp and stone him. That's what they did. And immediately after it, God said, hey, guess what? To show that you follow these rules, like the Sabbath, I want you to put a blue fringe around the hems of your garments, so I know you're my people and that you follow my rules. Which is a really fucked up thing to say after God just told them to murder a guy without a trial for picking up sticks. Was he even a Jew? Was he part of their camp? Was he some other person that wasn't part of their religion? Fuck it, doesn't matter to God. He was picking up sticks on a day he shouldn't have been picking up sticks. You know, I've heard, and this may be not quite true, but I've heard that according to some theologians, they say anything heavier than a fig is a load that is considered work, and that you can't use fire on the Sabbath, and that you can't push buttons on the Sabbath. And there are people that make technology, like phones with little stick pins that you press into a slot so it doesn't count as poking a button, so you can use a touch-tone phone. They're making these for people to use on the Sabbath because they want to adhere to these laws and still do things. Well, I think a phone receiver is still kind of heavier than a fig, so you're still doing work, and I really don't think you're looking at this logically, because that's still technically work, putting something in a hole and everything, and just not using fire. Instead you decide to use air or water. That's kind of a cop-out. I mean, people are even supposed to cook their meals ahead of time, like the day before, for that day, because they can't use a fire. And how many of them drive a car? That's fire right there. And a lot of people that are Protestant, they use their car to go to church on Sunday, which is their Sabbath. They're using fire on the Sabbath. They're pushing buttons, they're turning keys, they're turning a wheel, they're pushing the accelerator and the brake. They're doing work. How unholy is that? It's hilarious. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love studying religion, because you guys are crazy. Crazy! And I love it. It's funny as hell. I would say don't stop doing it, but I kind of want you to stop doing it. Because you're crazy. Really, seriously. Well, of course, 12% had other answers. You know, I think someone said Monday and someone said Wednesday or something like that. Weird answers. And another 12% abstained, which of course by now is starting to seem really kind of don't like this anymore. I mean, a lot of you people are abstaining, and I want some damn answers. If you can't give them to me, then fuck off. Okay, so I asked them, can good works get you into heaven? Yeah, so I asked them, can good works get you into heaven? Nobody said yes. Absolutely no one. In fact, 90% said absolutely not. Well, what's the point in doing good deeds if they can't get you into heaven or get you any brownie points? There's no reason to do any good deeds if they will not get you into heaven. 5% had other answers, of course, and 5% abstained. So one person had another answer and 1% abstained. But the other people, 19 other people out of the 21 surveyed, said no. Absolutely not. Good works will not get you into heaven. So have fun in that soup kitchen, everybody. Have fun being social justice warriors and all these other things that you think are good deeds, because it doesn't fucking matter according to Christianity. You're all fucked and you're going to hell. Unless you love blood and Jesus and resurrection and other fanciful things like that, which really make no logical sense. So let's be a little expository on what they said about good works and why they said no. Well, 66% said it's all about faith, baby. You gotta have faith or you won't go to heaven. So what about taking the Bible literally and doing good things and knowing the Ten Commandments and living your life by that? And no, just faith? Aren't you contradicting yourself? Okay, I guess you don't see it, so let's move on. 17% said it's about the blood. It's always been about the blood. If you aren't saved by the blood and washed in the blood, then you gotta be crazy. Yeah. I remember a lot of horror movies where people were drenched in blood and going crazy, and I don't think I want to be any of those people. I don't think I ever want to be drenched in blood. That's really fucked up to think about. Come on, people. And 17% again, they abstained, so guess they have no idea what gets you into heaven, so why ask them? Their favorite part of faith or the Bible. Well, let's just say that 90% they answered it. That's 19 people. And 2 abstained. Thanks, lady. You really know how to make life more interesting. But 90% of you answered your favorite part of faith in the Bible. Did you realize it was a trap? Do you realize what I could milk this information for? You guys aren't that bright. Seriously. So yeah. I'll do another video, hopefully before the end of the year, where I'm gonna actually read some of their answers. On my channel! On another video, of course. But, anywho, what have we learned? We've learned that a lot of these people are older, they take the Bible absolutely literally, and say they've read the entire thing. Which is funny because I never did a sex question, like what sex are they, male or female, and I remember a lot of women answering these things, and they tried to teach me about their faith. And was it 1 Timothy chapter 2? There was a passage, maybe they should look this up if they see this video, but wasn't there one about women not teaching or having any authority over a man, but studying in all subjugation and silence? I don't think answering any of these questions is really studying in silence or a lack of teaching. And a lot of their answers were really weird and frankly kind of dumb. So I'm not sure what to think. I don't think anyone there was absolutely truthful. I think they lied about a lot of things. And I don't agree with their philosophy. And because I've not made it into the paper, it gives me more freedom to do this video. So, until I read some of their answers, this is Dr. Chatter reminding all of you that when you say you take the Bible literally, you're a fucking dick. It endorses slavery and rape and a number of other ungodly, unholy, unforgivable things. And you really do need to reread it. Because it's not a good book. It's actually a very poorly written book, which you would expect from a bunch of stupid people from the Bronze Age that didn't really know literature or how to translate things correctly or even have words for certain things because, well, they were still young. But that's why we have science. That's why we have etymology. That's why we have a lot of things today to help get past the bullshit. And remind us all that knowledge changes the world. Happy Christmahanakwanzidaanyule, or Holiwhatzit Day, whichever's easier to say. Good night.